I think you want another speech. I'm kidding. Dear friends, please join me in welcoming the new president of the French-American Foundation, our dear friend, Charlie Kolb.
This is a very obedient audience. You should start eating, please. We do have a second course, so please feel free to begin your first course while I'm talking. Thank you very much, Ambassador Delattre, for your very kind words. We are honored that you are with us this evening at the French-American Foundation's 22nd annual gala. It has been my great pleasure, Francois, to have gotten to know you shortly after you came to Washington last year, and I deeply appreciate your friendship, your support for the work of the French-American Foundation, and your steadfast belief in the importance of the transatlantic partnership. Please know that all of us at the Foundation, our board, and our staff will work with you and your colleagues in Washington, New York, and at consulates around the country to strengthen and deepen bonds between France and the United States. And I was especially pleased to learn when I started at the Foundation that Sophie Lélias Delattre is an alumna of our Young Leaders program and remains an active and enthusiastic supporter of the French-American Foundation's most visible signature program. We are grateful to Sophie for all that she does and especially for her advice and support. And to our new Consul General here in New York, Bertrand Lortelaurie, let me extend a warm welcome to you and your wife, as well as appreciation for having taken the time to meet so soon after you began here in New York. We are both new New Yorkers, and I know that I speak for you and everyone here tonight in saluting the compassion, the courage, and the remarkable resilience of our tri-state community in the wake of Hurricane Sandy. Tonight, the French-American Foundation has benefited from the generosity of several individuals, foundations, and companies who support our work. And while we gather here this evening, there are individuals and families just a few miles away who lack food and shelter. Many French organizations, such as the Lycée Français, for example, are already helping out. And I know that Ambassador Delattre and Consul General Lortelaurie join me in urging you to help our neighbors during this time of need, through the Red Cross, the local United Way, or the charity or social service organization of your choice. I want to recognize special guests who are here this evening, Governor Pataki, former New York Attorney General Dennis Vacco, and several ambassadors, Ambassador Elizabeth Bagley, Richard Fairbanks, Jim Lowenstein, and John Negroponte, and a special welcome to three close friends, Ed Cox, Dan Rose, and Edouard Tétrault, who just arrived from Paris. Now, on a personal note, as some of you know, I joined the Foundation on August 6th. So I've been here 3 months and 1 day, precisely 94 days. But who's counting? I'm counting because I have just another 6 days until I have to report back to Ambassador Jim Lowenstein on what I've accomplished during my first 100 days. Jim actually gave me a list, and I remain grateful to Jim for his help and advice over a long time. Let me also express my appreciation tonight to the board of the French-American Foundation for hiring me, to our chairman, Alan Chapin, Shannon Fairbanks, Jim Lowenstein, Doug Price, and Al Ross, among others, and to our vice chairman, former Ambassador François Bougeant de Lestang, for his warm welcome in Paris a few weeks ago. I'd also like to thank my immediate predecessor, Antoine Treuil, for his graciousness towards me as I have settled into my new position. Now, I actually owe Antoine and Ambassador Delattre more appreciation than they might realize. 2 years ago this month, Antoine sent one of the French-American Foundation's New York staff, Joanna Kohler, to work in Washington, D.C., as part of an effort to raise the Foundation's visibility in our nation's capital. I might add that Joanna is French and her family lives in Paris. A few months later, Ambassador Delattre recruited Joanna away from the French-American Foundation to work at the embassy as the director of the Campus France program. So Joanna's relocation to Washington then afforded me the opportunity to recruit her as my partner. A true French-American love story and a very tangible transatlantic partnership. So I hope you can see that I'm taking my responsibilities quite seriously. And in fact, let me add that Joanna and I now have a 6-month-old son, Alexandre, who will undoubtedly be our greatest gift to French-American relations, notre petit français, notre fils américain. Thank you. Joanna, thank you. Thank you for being here. This time of the year in New York, there are dozens of galas and fundraisers, all of them important to their organizations. So let me share with you why I think the French-American Foundation is so special, why its mission today remains critical to both our countries and beyond, and why your support this evening means so much. Yesterday, we had a national election, the culmination of 2 years of campaigning and massive spending by both political parties. But missing throughout much of the campaign was a serious, substantive discussion about the future relationship between Europe and the United States. We heard much about Russia, the Middle East, and Asia, about currency manipulation and terrorist threats, all of which, of course, are important. But the discussion and media coverage about Europe were mostly about whether the Union and the Euro would survive, and they will, and not about the common challenges we must resolve together, the opportunities for economic growth and the institutional restructuring that we can no longer postpone. Now, in July this past year, I was on a panel in Aix-en-Provence at the Cercle des Économistes with former French Ambassador Jean-David Levitte and New York Times Paris Bureau Chief Stephen Erlanger. And the topic was the transatlantic partnership. The moderator was worried that the United States was turning away from Europe and focusing more on China and Asia. And my response was to say, on peut jouer avec la Chine, mais le mariage sera avec l'Europe. And I truly believe that. We may flirt with China, but the marriage will still be with Europe. Our foremost European partner is, and always has been, France. It is with France for almost 250 years that our shared values remain strongest, even when we sometimes disagree. And it is with France where our past experiences still have relevance to our future well-being, and where our success together on so many fronts will ensure greater freedom and economic security for billions of people around the globe. After all, the founding principles of our two countries continue to inspire so many of the newly emerging democracies. Now let me add a few words about where I think the French-American Foundation is going. Ambassador François Bougeant de Lestang said to me that when he thinks of the French-American Foundation, the first word that comes to his mind is the word exchange. Exchanges between leaders at all levels, exchanges among networks throughout our two societies, and exchanges through dialogues, forums, and social media about ideas, common problems, solutions, aspirations, and shared successes. The French-American Foundation is also about identifying and recognizing future leaders in both countries. Now, we have some of our young leaders here today, and I would add that on the leadership front, we're doing pretty well. One American president, Bill Clinton, and now one French president, François Hollande, have been young leaders. Alain Juppé, foreign minister in the last French government, was a young leader, as is Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. And there are 7 young leaders in the new French government now, 4 who are ministers and 3 who are senior Élysée advisors. And so every year we select 20 new leaders, 10 from France, 10 from the United States, to become part of what is now the signature program of the French-American Foundation. So I hope that in the future we will be able to work together to build on what the French-American Foundation has achieved over 36 years. To do this, we will work more closely than ever with our sister organization in Paris. We will partner with other organizations in the United States and abroad. We will look for opportunities to deepen the Foundation's substantive expertise in a number of policy areas, including education and healthcare, immigration, infrastructure, the environment, and fiscal policy. To do this, we will need your support to achieve these goals. Your presence here this evening is a testament to your commitment to stronger French-American relations. Our honorees and our presenters will help us celebrate our French-American Foundation. I am honored to serve the French-American Foundation and our two great nations, and I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you for being here tonight. It's now my honor to turn the dinner over to Ambassador Jim Lowenstein, former U.S. Ambassador to Luxembourg, a founder of the French-American Foundation, the Vice Chairman of the French-American Foundation France, and a stalwart member of the Board and Executive Committee of the French-American Foundation, the United States. Please welcome Ambassador James Lowenstein.